Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Hello and welcome to a week one edition of the high school football coaches part of Around the Hearn. A lot of great things to get to. Otten from Coldwater, Ben Kaufman from Ottawa Glandorf, Andy Schafer from Columbus Grove, and Bo Frye from St. Mary's, the guest this week. Andy already had his season get started last night in a 42-12 win over Pandora Gilboa. That was on Putnam Sports Radio. But tonight, excited to kick off week number one, heading to St. Mary's to cover the Rough Riders as they battle Gallion. Ottawa Glandorf has got Liberty Benton coming to town, and Coldwater's Chip Otten and Valley View. Should be some absolute great games. You'll hear from all four of those coaches. And again, you kind of get a look behind the curtain to see what it was that Andy said to get this one started. And his team came out last night. It was a 21-12 game, but they ran away through the final quarter and a half and ended up with a running clock. Lipsick got a big win last night as they beat up on Calvert 40-3. Columbus Central Catholic put up 50 against Shawnee. Just a lot of great things going on. And as the fall continues, we'll talk about volleyball as well. The Coldwater Spike Off this weekend. You can hear different versions of those games with Chase Detro on WCOQ radio and on K94. I'm excited. We've got a lot of things to get to. Hopefully we get some more fall coaches, talk about cross country and volleyball, and get into the swing of things and some soccer action as well. Thanks for listening in and supporting. Hit me up on Twitter or whatever your preferred social media is, at Michael Hearn PvP. Let me know who you want to hear from and what you think of the show. Whether you're looking to celebrate a birthday, retirement, or a milestone, the Red Pig Inn at 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa is the place for you. Established in 1975, the Red Pig features new menu items and a pizza buffet from 11 to 2 Wednesday to Friday. Looking for a family atmosphere? Look no further. Sunday's buffet from 11 to 3 features salads, chicken, pulled pork, and sides, plus desserts. Gather your team and head on over to the world-famous Red Pig Inn, 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa. Welcome back now, talking Ottawa Glandorf football with the first-year head coach in Ben Kaufman. Have you gotten used to hearing that yet?
Slowly but surely, yes, I have. It's still kind of different to hear, and I enjoy hearing it. Something I've always, wanted to do. So I'll take it.
Well, because it is a very odd thing, because, 31 years for Ken Schreiner. When people say Ottawa Glandorf football, they go, oh, Ken Schreiner's team. So being able to kind of look at it, and that's not a bad thing, because you guys had a ton of success while Ken was there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was fortunate enough to be a part of those 4 as a player and 10 as a coach. So,
do you find yourself, maybe this being obviously your first year, your first couple of months, you're kind of getting acclimated to, how do I want to run practice? How do I maybe approach this? How do I approach personnel or a water break or whatever, of taking a little bit from when you were an assistant, or is it pretty much just status quo?
I've taken tidbits here and there. There are some similarities, but honestly, one thing I've been trying to do, and I like the way it's working out so far, is every practice or every day when I go to make the practice script or the practice plan, I don't really know what I'm going to do until I make it. And it's been kind of, I enjoy doing it that way, because what I've been doing so far is something it's worked out in a way that I anticipate to keep it that way next year. So it's been a combination of both. I used Ken's groundwork and structure to an extent, but we have shaken some things up in terms of the practice plans.
I would imagine that's the hardest thing to do, is because everybody will immediately say, it's your program, you have to put your stamp on it. But it's not exactly like it's something you have to burn everything down and start over.
Yep. And I did not want to do that. There was too much positive going on here, whether it be the program specifically or just the community support of the program. We were not to a point by any means where it was burn it down and start over. But there, it'd be naive to think there weren't things that needed changed, or just I did, not necessarily needed changed, but didn't fit my philosophy as a head coach. So yeah, it's been a good mixture.
There were different times last year. The St. Mary's game is one that immediately jumps out to me that you guys showed flashes of, hey, this is what we can do. Everybody buys in. You have a returning quarterback this year. Are you able to kind of point to different moments from last year with the kids of, hey, see, we can be this. We're not going to be a team that's 0-10 for multiple years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kids understand that too, which has been nice. But like you said, there were a few other games where we, going into halftime, we were either leading or right there with them. And just whether it was inexperience or lack of focus, at times we kind of shot ourselves in the foot in a lot of games last year in the second half. But the kids are aware, that, hey, some of those guys that might have been hurt last year are back. Some of those mistakes that we've gotten older. Tanner's coming back with some experience at quarterback. So they really have impressed me with their mentality here.
You talked about community support. How long did your phone ring after it was sort of put in motion that you're now the guy?
Tell you what, 2 days nonstop. I thought my phone was going to start on fire from the text. And that says way more about the community than myself, is why I mentioned that. It was very rewarding and just a good reminder of how fortunate I am to be working here and living here in this community. But also at the same time, I need to uphold the expectations of what this community wants in their sports programs, whether it be results or just building the young men and women that is expected here in our school district.
I have to ask an odd question because I've been trying to throw coaches off lately. A zombie apocalypse happens. How long do you survive?
Not long at all. I'm probably 2 days. I might go 3 because I have a pretty put it this way, I have a neighbor I could lean on for probably a day or two, and he'd get me farther than I could get myself.
See, people are going to wonder why I asked you that, but there's a very specific reason. I read a book about leadership recently, and they talked about kind of how people answer that is paramount to how they survive in their job. And for you, being able to rely on other people seems like it would be a key for the Titans to have success this year.
How about that? What a spin.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit.
Right. I like that. That nails it. I'm preaching team and family. We're not going to get through this season by one man or one coach taking control and having a focus on a singular person or effort. It's going to be a team effort, and we've been preaching family. So there you go.
It's not a new thing for you when you walk out on the field at Titan Stadium for warm-ups. You go out just before the 7 o'clock kickoff, but your name is now on the marquee. What do you think it's going to be like for you? Kind of, is it just you're just in a different spot?
No, it is going to have. It'll have a. I'll get the feels from it, only because whether it's been the first article or the name tag or whatever it may be, I have so much passion for this school and and OG Titan football that it is kind of. It means a lot to me. So there are some feels that come along with it. The first, so Friday night being the first game, or maybe I don't know. Heck, if they, hearing the name when we walk out of the locker room, whatever it may be, it does impact me because, like I said, I have being from here, graduated here, and I just have a lot of passion for the program.
You guys didn't exactly take on schlubs during your scrimmages. You've got Liberty Benton coming to town. They're a much different squad than what they were a year ago, changing conferences, losing impact players. How are you feeling a couple of days removed from the kickoff of week 1?
I don't feel like we're in a bad place. Like you said, we had 2 pretty solid opponents in our scrimmages, and we did improve from Perrysburg to St. Henry. I felt like we showed some improvement, which obviously every coach wants to see from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. And we'll find out Friday night if we got that same improvement from scrimmage 2 to game 1. But I will say, when looking at controlling the things that we as coaches and players can control and focusing on that and that only, I like what we're doing.
Ottawa Glandorf will be successful this year
If two things come to mind here, we will be successful if the guys continue on the same track of buy-in and handling adversity that they are right now. Like I said, they have been impressing the heck out of me this summer so far, but we haven't really been thrown true adversity yet, right? We don't, we haven't lost a game yet and had to rebound and, dig deep and find that confidence to go back out and compete the next week. So if we can keep the buy-in, which they are showing, we will be successful. And then the second one is stay healthy, right? I think everyone saw how that hurt us last year. Not that was our only issue, but it was definitely a part of it. So if we can stay healthy and these guys, staff and players can continue to buy in, we're going to be just fine.
Well, I'm hoping that you guys have an absolutely amazing blue and gold year.
I appreciate that.
There you go. A look at Ottawa Glandorf Titan football with head coach Ben Kaufman.
Coldwater Glandorf Fi Optics offers high-speed internet service and customer-managed Wi-Fi, as well as local customer service and reliable technicians in your community to help you get the best out of your telephone, internet, and streaming services. Glandorf Telephone, Coldwater Telephone, and Coldwater Glandorf Fi Optics are here to service you so you can enjoy your favorite shows and so much more while getting the best deal available. Check them out online at glantel.net and coldwater-tel.com today and see what they can do for you.
Columbus Grove football talking it now to head coach Andy Schafer, and it's been a decade and a half. Are you still enjoying football as much as you have been?
Yeah, I'm having the time of my life. Actually, it's been a fun year, and every year is different. The group of kids are different every year. Obviously you have a lot of guys back, but it's just the mentality changes every year, and the situations changes, and it's just been a fun year. It really has.
Well, we talked after last year, and one big thing that you were telling me about when we would have a conversation was you enjoy the teaching aspect of it, of being able to get a kid and kind of mold him and to just kind of watch that light go on. Is that the big thing for you during the summer of, all right, we're installing, we got this quick turnaround to try to do it. Bam. Oh, that kid understands.
Well, I think, one of the things that I hated when I switched from an assistant coach to a head coach years ago is, the one-on-one relationships with the kids. I always felt like the assistant coaches kind of really gained that, and it was kind of hard for a head coach to do that. And then a few years ago, I kind of changed my tune on that and really tried to, individually meet with everybody. In fact, I did have one-on-one meetings with a lot of kids this week, and just kind of, you tell them where they're at and how they need to grow and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's really helped develop our program and certainly helped develop me as, that's what I like to do.
Would you say that's a big reason why a lot of guys want to come back and be position coaches or coordinators for you?
I don't know. You have to certainly ask them that. Maybe, you look at my staff, and a lot of those guys have played for me, and I think that's pretty cool to have that relationship and grow in the next level when you're side by side coaching with them. So yeah, that's maybe
10-4 last year for you guys. You bring back Brady Basinger, you get Gavin Baxter, you got Brody McClure, you've got a lot of your offensive line. Is it fair to say that the sky is pretty high? I mean, it feels like on paper you guys have a lot of things going right going into the year.
The expectations are always as high as it always is. So that's certainly not going to change. And that's not necessarily my expectations. That's a community thing. Everybody expects Grove to win. And we do have a lot of guys back. We have 4 offensive linemen back. We have 2 tight ends, a running back on offense. We have 9 guys back on defense that have had significant starting positions. And the crazy thing about the defense is I only have 2 seniors of those 9. So a lot of guys back, but they're still pretty young.
So as the saying goes, you would say the rumors of my demise are greatly exaggerated.
We'll see how it goes.
But you get immediate playmakers, and the 2 on your defense that stand out to me, and I know there are a lot of guys that do for a lot of different reasons. Brady Basinger, Conference Defensive Player of the Year, Gavin Baxter, first team All-Ohio. How big is it with those 2 guys? Because I would think at this point, having seen them being starters, them being impact players in a number of sports, you don't have to motivate them. You don't have to say a lot to them. And that kind of makes other guys want to flock to them and be like them.
Well, it's really cool to get, like you just said a little while ago, that next level coaching. And, how do you take a kid like Brady Basinger that's already started 45 football games? First off, that's insane. But how do you continue to get him to grow? And, he's the type of kid that really has understood that he's not perfected everything yet and really kind of works on his craft. And, you think about the defensive side. Yeah, he was Ohio first-team linebacker last year, which is great. But that was his first year starting at linebacker, which is pretty impressive. So he still has a little ways to grow. But certainly he's the leader of our defense, leader of our team. And, Gavin Baxter on the edge is pretty good. And, the one thing that, you look at teams that have an unbelievable defensive end, which I've obviously coached against many of them over the years. You try formationally to set that person in one side of the field and then obviously run away from them. They're a defensive end. But, I think we have a very good complementary defensive end on the opposite side. And the Bailey Mag that's coming back is just a sophomore that's really, really fast and strong and physical. And for him and Gavin Baxter to just funnel everything right to Brady Basinger, you're going to see Brady have a lot of tackles this year.
You've had a lot of guys over the years, multiple year stars, like we were talking about with those kids that are going to just continue to come in and make differences. But have you had guys who, because success breeds success and all that, when they maybe come in as a freshman, you see him walk through the door and go, yeah, that kid's going to get it. We're not going to have to tell him a ton right out of the gate.
Well, I think, you're pretty much leading right into our freshman quarterback, Rylan Paulty. And, I'm amazed at his football IQ. I'm amazed, but yeah, I also understand what it's like to have a kid grow up in a football house. The kid's football IQ is just kind of off the charts. He really understands things. And the biggest thing he also understands is the Grove community and, what's expected. And, I had to talk with him. I have a talk every time I have a new quarterback. I pull him aside and I say, do you really want to do this? Because I want to know, do you really want to be the quarterback in Columbus Grove? And it's kind of a unique place. I mean, the pressure is unbelievable. You can't walk down the street in February and not get some sort of football question, and it just doesn't matter. The expectations of a quarterback in Grove are pretty high.
Does that make it a little bit easier for you? Because obviously what you went through with your own son being a pretty big part of your team to maybe kind of identify with that of what he might be going through?
Yeah, what's been cool is just to kind of watch, Scott and Rylan kind of go through it and, kind of offer advice. And, it's, that kind of, I've told AJ he needs to reach out to Rylan as well, because it's a different, there's coaches that, get into coaching because they have a kid, and that's, your typical midget coach and, youth football coach, all that kind of stuff. And then there's Scott and I that we were coaching way before we had kids. And so it's just a different animal. But, the IQ stuff is off the charts. He really understands the game and makes good decisions, and he asks questions. I'll never forget the one practice that he was, asking, Coach Paulie, a question. And Scott's like, I can't believe he was asking that question. I'm like, that's good, because he's seeing things that most kids don't. So it's pretty high level stuff.
This week with Pandora Gaboa, your big defensive strength that you talked about is your front seven, having your linebackers and your defensive linemen back. How ready are those guys to be able to hit? Because I know, PG wants to come out and they have certain things they want to establish early on offensively.
For sure. Coach Hershey does a great job of preparing for us. I mean, he really does. He spends obviously a lot of time, talking about Grove, and for whatever reason, Pandora really, they take this game very, very serious. It's extremely important for us to kind of set the tone early. We had so many new guys starting last year, certainly not making any excuses, but The excuses are all gone now. I mean, we have so many guys back on the line, and I really think if you're going to win week one, you got to win the trenches. So excited to see what that D line does. I listened to Gavin Baxter do one of his interviews earlier this summer, and he talked about it was so strange going through that first practice and saying, "Hey, I'm with my same guys. We just played St. Henry just a few months ago. We already know what we're doing. It's like we're a step ahead of everything." Early in the summer last year, Gavin Baxter was a corner, and then we moved him to a linebacker, and then we moved him to defensive end. Shoot, we didn't even know who he was. And so, at this point, we're certainly ahead of the game. But Coach Hershey's a great coach. He really is, and he's gonna X and O us and scheme us and try to obviously stay away from those guys. And he's got a gunslinger. I mean, their quarterback. I watched him in the 2 scrimmages, and man, he can zing it. And he throws a really really hard, nice ball. I thought the first scrimmage he was a little inaccurate. And then the second scrimmage, we were like, whoa, this kid's really pulled it together in 1 week. So, I'm expecting to see that against us, his accuracy and the way that he delivers the ball. It's really good.
Wins and losses and rivalries aside, is there something more special about being able to open up and everybody's kind of got a little bit more of a spotlight? There's a huge crowd that's going to be at Clymer with Pandora on a Thursday night.
Thursday's very special. Coach Hershey and I talked about this quite a few years ago. I don't remember how many years it's been since we've done it, but we actually toyed around with it the year that COVID happened. We were talking about it, and obviously, the whole world changed, but weren't able to play. That was a year that we didn't play. But I think it must have been the year after that we started this Thursday thing, and it's exciting. When you see essentially a playoff atmosphere week one, it's pretty cool. That was always a big game before, but certainly, just a Thursday night with not a lot of teams playing in the area, it certainly draws a crowd. And to me, and Coach Pauly and I have talked about this, he's played a lot of Thursday nights being at LCC in the past and, different nights. And he's like, it's perfect for week one, but you never want to do it like week 5 or week 6. But when it's week one, you've got the whole summer to prepare for it. What's one extra day? And to be honest, to have that one extra day after week one to kind of heal up and get an extra practice in for week 2, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, you don't want the kids just hanging out, at the pool drinking all their Monster Energies.
We try to stay away from that stuff. But if you've ever been to a Pandora Grove game, you realize that the game is extended by a half hour because of all the kids cramping, which I would attribute to those stupid drinks that kids like to hide and try to drink before a game.
I've been to a handful of them, so I am well versed in exactly what you're saying. And I think it's funny too, because you're an old school soul in this rivalry because, you've had it going back through your own high school days. So, it's, hey guys, I've been a part of, a PG rivalry.
Yeah. It's big. It's certainly, I'm not Ned Stexley, so I can't tell you exactly when this thing started rolling around, but it's a number of years, and it's it's pretty special when you have games like that. I really enjoy our first 3 weeks. I look at all of our schools in the conference, and I have to pull the calendars out every year and see who's playing who, because it always changes. But our schedule's been set. It's us, Liberty Benton, Patrick Henry, and three really solid teams, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Answer this question. Columbus Grove wins on Thursday night if
we just come out and don't make mistakes the first drive. I mean, it was I don't know. For some reason, I like to punish myself, so I decided to watch the game last year, and I saw the the onside kick and the penalties and the mistiming of the snap and the motions, and I mean, it was just we look like a young week 1 team, and that's just not acceptable. And certainly that was well addressed at this morning's practice.
Well, I mean, anytime you lose 20 seniors, that's usually a big part.
Oh, well, I know.
I purposely didn't ask about last year because I know how tired of talking about it you are.
Well, thank you for that.
I'm trying to focus on the positive. We're talking about 2026 Columbus Grove.
Sounds good, man. Let's go.
Well, I appreciate you as always, and good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
There you go. Talk about Columbus Grove football with head coach Andy Schafer. Some more. It's on the way. Pavi's Subs and Beyond at 10932 State Route 15 in Ottawa is the home of the combo sub. Pavi's has a variety of subs, including ham and cheese, roast beef, pizza, and grilled chicken, all toasted to perfection. Pavi's Subs and Beyond at 10932 State Route 15 in Ottawa is open Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 2 and 4 to 8, unless we post otherwise, and Saturday and Sunday, 4 to 8. Call today with your order at 419-796-5527, and be sure to check out their Facebook page for more new items arriving soon. Pavi's Subs and Beyond at Ottawa. Have a Pavi's day. Talking St. Mary's football now as we look into 2026 with head coach Bo Frye, who now is becoming an older gentleman. Are you still feeling it? You're still having as much fun as when you started?
It's a good question. Some days I do enjoy it. I enjoy coaching football. I enjoy the practices. I enjoy the time with the kids. I enjoy the kids. Do I always enjoy all the other bull crap that goes with it? No, but I enjoy our kids.
Different thing for you guys, obviously with graduations, everybody's always moving in at different parts. You get a lot though back this year. Last year we talked about it was what you lost and how you were going to get younger guys to respond. Took some time. It happened. You have a lot of those guys back this year. How does that kind of move the ceiling higher for this team?
I think there's no excuses here at the beginning of the season. We're going to need to start fast because we do have some better kids in the Comptons and the Bakers and the Beams, some kids that have played for 4 years. So I do think experience helps, number one, but experience is kind of like potential. If you don't use it, then does it really matter?
Oh, look at you being philosophical in week one.
Already, baby.
You've got dudes on your offensive line. I don't really know how to put it that way. One of, I would say, from top to bottom, one of your best units led by Keelan Baker. Tell me why Keelan makes those guys better, because it just seems that he's the anchor and just says, you guys are coming with me. We're going to be good.
Well, first off, Keelan's a huge weight, one of the strongest kids I've ever been around. So he definitely led the offensive line in the offseason. I think Keelan's still trying to get back in the groove, though. I mean, it's in today's age of football, you're not trying to get anybody killed in practice. So the lines take a minute to get tightened up and the little things. So Keelan leads in his own way. He's got a great personality, a family of football. His brother played and is playing at Dayton. So he definitely loves football, but he's leading our group, and he's a good football player.
Last year, losing Parker Beam for a good portion of the year. This year, bringing him back, you're able to move him around, put him in a spot between John Youngs and Taylor Compton at times. How big is that unit? Because that seems like defensively, John Youngs played out of his mind at times last year. We know Taylor, if he sees something, he tackles it. Probably, nicest kid in the world, would help an old lady across the street with her groceries, but he would tackle anybody coming at her. Those three are just, it seems like a perfect fit for one another.
It's probably one of the strengths of our defense are those three guys. I think the back half of our defense is pretty good this year. We struggled last year. We put a lot of time into it. Coach Yale has put a ton of time into it. We went to passing leagues. We've grinded with teams. So I think they're closer than we were at this point last year. Obviously, we still have work to do.
New additions in your secondary and Kato Dabara and Hunter Cold Iron. I heard a handful of interviews. There's a lot of guys who believe Hunter's going to be a big part of this season.
Hunter's a stud, man. Hunter's always been. He's a pretty good running back, too. He's a heck of a tackler. And the way that Nick's playing defense this year is he's letting those guys sit back deep and make plays and tackle. I think part of our problem last year in our secondary is that we were letting them catch it, and 5-yard games became 50-yard games. As long as we get people on the ground, we have to have great tacklers back there, and both those kids can tackle.
Kicking is going to be a thing. You've replaced many all-state kicker types the last handful of years. Is there pressure on a kid like Ethan Ibrahim to kind of do what everybody else has done, or is it just he's going to be who he is and we're going to rally around it?
I think he's still learning. He kind of became the starting kicker just recently, so I don't think he's really thought that far ahead yet. We all have 3 more kickers too, one being a girl, Piper Triplet, but we have kickers, so he doesn't have to take the full load. We have other guys that can do it. But Ibrahim, he just seems like he's got that personality. He's played shortstop in baseball. He's been the best player on the basketball team all the way up through. So he's a heck of an athlete. So I don't think the stage hasn't seemed too big for him.
Speaking of athletes, in week number 1, you take on a Galligan program that you guys get at home this year. Matt Dick's got guys who can move. Kane Hay and Kurt Hay, we saw them last year. Dominic Capretta, who was that big tight end for them. They've got that big junior and blue ball on the line. What did you see about them that maybe you can try to exploit?
Well, first off, yes, testament to Coach Dick. His kids can run, man. They're fast and they play hard, extremely hard. So, and that's hard to achieve. So congratulations to him, first off, for getting his kids to play so hard. I do think that they're younger, so they aren't as experienced as they were last year. Last year's group had pretty much all played, but they're playing at the same level as they were playing last year. So we're going to have to be a lot better than we were week 1 last year.
Was there anything that surprised you guys that they did that this year won't be that way?
They're spread out a lot more. They're not packing it in much. It's pretty much all 5 wide. Not 5 wide. They have a running back in the backfield, but they're spreading it out on offense a lot more. Their quarterback is maybe a little bit more twitchy. He's an athlete back there. He played receiver last year and made a lot of plays for him throughout the playoffs. So he's a twitchy kid, hard to bring down. So yeah, what they're doing different is they're spreading out the offense a lot more than they were last year.
When you get into WBL play, it's been said the WBL is going to be very good from top to bottom. 1 or 2 losses might be kind of how it's decided this year. You get to see a little bit. I don't know how much you can glean from stuff like 7-on-7, which you guys are very successful in this year, or scrimmages, but who's kind of at the top for you?
Well, the entire league. Oh, that's a good question, man. I think every week is a new challenge, and I think there's no clear-cut favorite. I mean, it's not like a Walpock from last year that you knew had coming, everyone coming back, and a Sun quarterback. So I don't think you can put your finger on one team being the best. I think every week it's who goes 1-0 each week, man. And it's going to be a dogfight to the end. There's some great coaching in our league. So honestly, Mike, I'm trying to make sure our end's tidied up before I worry too much about the rest of the WBL.
That's fine. It's kind of what I expected that was going to be. But when you go through this season, everybody obviously talks about what you have. We talked about your big guys who are coming back up front and kind of in different places. Give me one guy who you believe that is, as they say, under the radar right now, that people will realize he's a gamer for St. Mary's.
I think you can put a few names out there. I think we haven't talked about Logan Payton, who's our quarterback, who also plays corner for us. He's a twitchy kid. He's an athlete at quarterback, which we hadn't had in a while. Not saying mean things about our last guys, but this kid's just a little more athletic. So he's a kid that's definitely you're going to see and you're going to hear his name. I think Caden Ibera back in the deep, sophomore kid. He's a heck of an athlete. I think the Lions at times are pretty good. You know, Cam Kramer up front. He's a pretty good defensive lineman. I think the D-line is playing pretty well. So I think there's a lot, but it's still too early to really know which one is going to jump out and make those plays.
Well, as always, I hope it's everybody, and I wish you guys the best of luck.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
There you go. Straight from Bo Frye. Back with more in a moment.
The following is a special message from the Lee Kinsel Radio Network.
When you're looking for the best sales and service department in the area, look no further than Lee Kinsel Chevrolet GMC. From Danny the Dealmaker to the #1 technician in the United States, Tyson Boroff, to manager Jeff Wormer, there's no better dream team to be found. No matter where you bought your vehicle or whether it needs to be replaced or fixed, the staff at Lee Kinsel will leave you with the help you need with a smile on their face. Lee Kinsel, 650 West Irvin Road, or online at 24/7 at leekinsel.com. Chevy, together, let's drive. Built on a tradition is not just a thing that they say in Coldwater. It is a thing that continues to happen in Coldwater every single year. The Cavaliers are continuing to build on that legacy, and a big reason why is the guy I'm talking to now in Chip Otten, who's always so nice to come on and talk about his team. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Yeah, we always, get together every once in a while on the phone and have a good chat about all kinds of things, from anywhere from the Reds to all the different sports in the area. And so appreciate you having me.
What people don't know is that when he talks about the Reds, I try to walk him back from whatever bad ledge that he's on. But you know what? Yeah, the hardest thing to do is to try to hit a round ball with a round object.
Especially when it's going 90 and curving and twisting and moving and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, with things I can't even make up, sliders and change-ups. And I think everything is just called a sweeper now. Anything that moves is called a sweeper.
Now they just changed the curveball, the sweeper, the slider, it all looks about the same, really, I guess.
We didn't have enough analytics.
We do have enough analytics, right?
And it's crazy because we're already to week number 1 of the high school football season. Walk me through the last 16 days where you get your team officially from August 1st to now. Does that feel shorter and shorter to you all the time?
Over obviously with the playoffs expanding the last few years, and really your official start date still being August 1st, but throughout the summer, over the years, with the allotment of numbers of days, you can have like camp days and 7-on-7s and acclimation period in July. You can still get a lot of those. Actually, you can, we have what we call a camp. We work out all summer, 3 mornings a week, and do a little bit of after workouts, conditioning and install, what we call. But then we have a camp towards the end of July, and have a good, really basically like a real practice. And that's because of the new acclimation rules. You can wear shoulder pads during those days. So really, we don't ever wear pants in practice. So those are like our pretty much regular practices. Even though that, you can't make those mandatory, but most of our kids, unless they're on a vacation, most of our kids show up to that. So going back to your question with the 16 days from August 1st, that first week, you go 2 days and you have a scrimmage already. Really, you start this year. We started on a Saturday, was the first. We had a scrimmage the very next Saturday. So, you get about 7, 8, 9 practices in, and we had Walpock, which is a great scrimmage for us. We get along good with their coaches. They like us. We like them. It's always they're really physical and well coached. So you get a good gauge of where you are. And so that's always a Saturday morning. And then we take off Saturday afternoon, Sunday, come back Monday and get ready for Salina, who I think is going to be, they're going to be good this year. And so we scrimmaged them. So we went back to one a little bit longer practice this past week. And so then we had a live for a half with the varsity, live everything, live kicking, live scrambles, live punting. Everything was just like a regular game. Had a coin toss. We just pretended like it was a game. And then the third quarter was a good mixture of backups and JVs, and then the fourth quarter were the freshmen. So it was fun. And at halftime we go 10-10 with JVs going one way and freshmen. So everybody got on film and had a good scrimmage there. And so then this week, it's game week already.
I'm still just trying to process that. Last season, you have 4 regular season losses, every one of them by 9 or less, 2 of them by 7, 1 by 1. That heartbreaker in week 10. Your last loss is just a nip and tuck battle with a terrific Hopewell Loudon team that beat you 20-18. You have a lot of guys back from that team. Do you have to say anything about them, or do those kind of games make them go, we're not losing close games. We're doing that extra mile. The inches we need are all around us, so to speak. Let's get this done.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed too much with the kids about how we lost those games, I guess, last year. But yeah, we do have quite a few kids returning and returning starters. So their attitude's been good, and they feel like they're into it. So I guess we don't dwell too much on what happened last year, because obviously they're all a new group of seniors, and try to just, it happened like you said. There's only really 16 days, and then this week. So you just stay on top of what we always talk about, controlling what we can control, and just take care of today. Take care of today. Let's move on and get ready for Friday.
Did you have to say a lot, though, going into the Covington game on Halloween last year after the disappointment with Marion? Because it seemed like after that, I mean, with Covington, with St. Bernard, with Tri-Village, with Anna, you guys just kind of went to a different area.
I would say, those teams were not as good as the MAC teams that we played. So I'm not sure we had the one that we got really keyed up for was the Tri-Village game, because they were undefeated and they were feeling good, and that was the fun test. And then of course we got a rematch with Anna. So those were the two big games in the region. Especially Tri-Village was fun because we played down there. They had some really good seniors, and they had an average winning margin, I think, around 30. And so the atmosphere was great. It was fun. Got a little travel. I went down with one of my buddies. We went down the day before, because I'm not teaching anymore. So we drove down, had lunch in their little sports bar, and checked the stadium out on I think it was the Thursday, maybe before the game. And so that was a fun game that we really got excited for. But anyway, getting back to when you lose that Marion game, we felt like, gosh, we gave up a kickoff return. That was we had 2 field goals and they had a kickoff return. Otherwise, just a hard-nosed defensive game, really, that we felt like, we probably could have and maybe should have won that game. But when you go into this second season, you try to regroup everybody and say, hey, it's a second season, we got a shot. And fortunately those seniors bought in, and that's a fear of when you lose some games that you don't get them back, and well, this is all over with, we can't do what we want to do. But they hung tough, and once you win that first one in the playoffs, they kids are really resilient. They bounce back probably quicker than us coaches. They bounce back quick, and if you got a good group of coaches and good group of seniors, they'll bounce back pretty quick.
Pretty sure I was doing the St. Henry game the night you guys were playing Tri-Village, and I remember watching the scores and thinking that it was going to be like the Valley View game in week 1, where whoever got the ball last was going to end up winning that game before you guys got a couple of big stops. Are those games still fun, or are you just white knuckling?
Oh, that's a lot more fun than if you kill some. Obviously, if you get killed, but it's a lot more fun than playing a team that the game's over in a quarter, and you're going to win pretty easily. Yeah, it gets a little stressful sometimes, but that's I guess that's the beauty of it when it's fun. It's kind of like watching games when it's a blowout. We tend to, well, this is boring, I don't want to watch anymore. And the same thing coaching. When you get into those games, and fortunately, when you win those games, you're like, God, that was a good call, I'm glad we did that, or glad you suggested that. And then obviously sometimes when you lose, you kick yourself in the rear for making a call or whatever. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. That's That's the exciting part. I don't know if fun's a great word while it's happening, but it's intense and those are the fun games.
I know how much respect and reverence that you have for the history of Coldwater football. 29 years in a row, Coldwater has made the playoffs. Nobody in state history has ever done that. What does that say to you? Kind of, you're the CEO now for what Coach Reed started, of just being able to keep this at a steady kind of flow going forward.
Yeah, it's that makes you feel good when you look back and the consistency of it, of carrying on what John got started, and all of all the assistants that I work with either played for John or played for me, and except Nick Hawk, like I said, is from Parkway. But the good thing is those guys had, I think all except Corey, have all coached. They went away off to college and then they got jobs. They couldn't get back to Coldwater yet. So they coached different places, and then they got a chance to come back. And that was great, because we have, you'll like this because you like stuff like this. Of our coaches, including the 8th grade coaches, 7th, 8th grade coaches, and our high school coaches, there's 45 kids between, let's see, 8, 9, 10, between 12, really 11 of us that have kids. There's 45 kids, and we all are from Coldwater. And so, like Joe Hewer's got 4 boys coming, and Dan Kennedy got 4, and Mark's got 3, and Corey and my daughter are on number 6. And so one of our, I guess, strengths in Coldwater has been the consistency that lots and lots of our best graduates go off and spend some time away, and then they want to raise their kids back in Coldwater, so they come back, and then you really get that support that you need, and they want to see their kids have fun, and our school, we feel like our school system's really good. So yeah, that consistency of just kind of knowing what the expectations are and knowing what our roles are with coaches, with players, and all that kind of stuff. It's just pretty seamless year to year. This is how we do things, boys. If you want to be part of it, this is how we do it.
One of those groups that has been a big part of it is the 12 seniors that you have this year. And with covering basketball and covering baseball a lot, I get to see a lot of these kids, kind of get to know them a little bit. The 3 that always immediately stand out to me that I've maybe talked to the most is Buck Taylor, Carson Homan, and Derek Dews. You throw in a kid like Bennett Spriggs, he's got to be highly intelligent because he's a catcher. That's my own point of view and what a lot of these other kids bring. But what is this senior class bringing this year to put this stamp on 2026 for Coldwater?
Yeah, just going to what you said. They've all been travel baseball guys, so they've played in lots and lots and lots of games. So their experience in all these different, I guess, baseball, mainly baseball and football, with those 4, they just have so much experience, and they're athletic and strong kids. If you just saw him walk into the room, you might not say, all right, that's your quarterback, and he's maybe 5. He says he's 5'10". I'm not sure he's that tall. Derek is really 5'9", 170, but he is put together. Bennett and Buck are a little bit bigger and thicker, but when you say those are 4 of their best skill guys, you might say, well, they don't look like anything special until you see them play. And so that's good leadership, and they all get along, and we've talked a lot about spreading the wealth with these guys. Carter Freed is another running back that we have. That's a senior in safety that fits in with those 5 as far as the skill, running back, tight end kind of guys. And so hopefully I keep impressing upon them, Buck, you're probably not going to have 1,000 yards this year, but if you, Derek, and Carter and Carson have, 2,500 between the five of you, then we're feeling good. And then we have some, a couple good receivers that are younger guys. So yeah, so they just bring that experience and leadership, and hopefully they can stay healthy. Obviously it's huge.
You have a home and an away game with Valley View and Clinton Massey, two D4 teams right out of the gate before you jump into MAC play. But every time I ask a different community or different coaches about the MAC this year, I get different answers on who's maybe going to be the big dog. When you look outside of Coldwater, who immediately jumps out to you? And I know the answer is everybody, but maybe one or two teams.
Yeah. Well, I guess until somebody knocks Marion off the league champs, you gotta always count Marion in just because of their toughness. Versailles has 22 seniors back. Anna's got, I think they only lost 5 starters. Well, more than that position wise, because all, 3 or 4 of their best players were 2-way players. But so Anna's got some guys back. We haven't played St. Henry the last 2 years, so I'm not as familiar with their returners. I know they had some really good seniors, but I would say those Versailles with a bunch of seniors, although they graduated, a lot of starters last year that were seniors. So I would throw out there Anna, Marion, Versailles with their, they got some new energy, I guess, maybe with a new coach that was a former Versailles player, and of course Marion. So yeah, those would be as I look at it right now.
I think it's going to be a fun year in the MAC, just from a lot of coaches. And, that's not even talking about kids like Breaker Judy at Fort Recovery and then Minster and New Bremen. Like, it's just crazy the amount of wealth that this conference continues to have.
Yeah. And like Coldwater in a lot of ways, the really, really, a lot of the kids come back and want to be part of the school. And so there's a lot of stability. I guess stability was a word I didn't use before. A lot of stability in the communities, and if you went to all of our schools close, and you said, okay, look at your seniors. How many of them went to kindergarten together? I bet you it's got to be 80 to 90% of all those kids all went to kindergarten together in their schools.
One big thing for you guys is a change this year in D6 and D5 in just insanely loaded Division 5. Do you keep yourself away from that and just go, we have 10 other teams to deal with first?
Yeah, we just want to try to get in there. Now, as you always look who's in, who's not. And, obviously Liberty Center went down to 6. Versailles went from 5 to 6. St. Henry moved up to 6. Anna stayed. So the region we were in with Anna last year has Versailles, St. Henry, and Anna. My guess would be those 3 are going to have to battle it out for that one, and then go play Liberty Center. I mean, it's Columbus Grove with Liberty Center, right?
Yes.
Liberty Center went down to 6.
Yeah, that whole thing that's another one of the, I think maybe from top to bottom, best regions in the state.
Our region is way more difficult than last year's region. But like I just said, there's no Liberty Center out there, I don't think. And Kirtland, obviously we've played Kirtland. I guess we've played Kirtland 3 times now, maybe 4, 3 or 4. 3, I guess. I think we're 2-1 against Kirtland. And then of course down south, you got, for us, the southeast, you got Wheelersburg and Ironton are probably the 2. Wheelersburg beat them last year, so those are probably the 2 best out of the southeast. And then Perry up north, they moved down from 4 to 5. So we always investigate it pretty good and just see who's out there. And like you said, our region is going to be really good.
Answer this: Coldwater is successful this year if
Stay healthy. That was my very first thought. If we can stay healthy, and then I would throw the next thing in that if our O-line can hold up. We don't have a lot of depth. I think they're going to be the guys that are starting are bigger than we've ever had. Not necessarily that doesn't necessarily mean they're better, but they're playing pretty good against a good Walpock and good Salina team. But there aren't many of them. So I would say my first thought jumped out is staying healthy. You know, if Derek Deuce goes down or Buck goes down again, it's like that's a huge drop off.
I had nothing to do with that. If that happens, you can answer those phone calls. I am not answering. Nope. I hope they all stay healthy and you guys have a monster of a year.
Yeah, that would be that'd be exciting for us. And we got those first couple games will tell us a lot. Valley View's like we talked about 49-48 last year. Their quarterback, I think their quarterback's the best quarterback we'll face all year. He's good, about 6'4", 6'5", can run, throw. And they got some big stout kids. So yeah, we got 2 tough games right out of the chute.
Well, best of luck to you guys.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we'll give it a shot, Mike. Yep. And again, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I like doing this kind of stuff. It's fun. I'm doing a Two Dads. Is that what it's called? Two Dads podcast tomorrow.
Love those guys.
That's kind of, yeah. Yep.
There you go. That is the leader of the Coldwater Cavaliers in Chip Otten.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter @Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.